2 gigs here last year, so the last 12 months. Just give us a brief rundown. What's happened just since last December?
Into the new year, released my first album, did the Olympia, had plans to go on tour, did a few solo gigs, and then we plans to bring the band out on tour, and then the dreaded C word happened, you know. And just coming to terms with that, stepping off that wheel and getting a chance to reevaluate who am I and what am I doing with myself and why am I doing this? You know, you have all this time to put yourself together, and just being faced with realities as they're coming up. You know, dealing with isolation, loneliness, losing a friend to suicide, because, you know, definitely exacerbated by our inability to get out and get live medicine from music. You know, and it's been a great challenge. There's been so much grief, but I'm just glad that I'm still here, and I'm here making music still, and music's been the life raft to cling on to all the time.
We steal cigarettes and buy clothes from a man in a van.
Home is where the heart is. You know my many moons and many faces. You've seen the familial scars from the bars and from my childhood. 2019 BC was and still is an age away. Your myriad mind it ran, persistent contradictions, sheltering in the snooker hall, confiding in the quiet. The painter has his lilies, I have silence, stark silence, and my splintered guitar. I've written all these songs, each one a world unto itself. Well, perhaps if I befriend them, then they might give up their secrets. It's raining today, I may not look it, but I'm happy. Please, before you ask me for my trust, no manners cost nothing. If manners cost next to nothing, in your voice it can beguile, won't you speak and let me drink? I'll consume all of your woes and puke them in the Belfast sink. In the blink of an eye, it's Good Friday. Some young mother is dressing her favourite child, and for a moment all is well in the world. For a moment all is well in the world. Was and still is an age away, but goodness remains to love and be loved, and healing to heal. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. I spoke today to you for the first time in many months from the depths of self. And in the sharing a weight was lifted, and we both drew breath in a mutual way. The problem shared becomes a source of strength. And I refuse to be subdued by flippant tales and whispered tones, when all it takes is sheer endeavour to understand you. For that song we shared in passing, though its name escapes me now. Will you provide insight? 20 Forgiveness prevails to love and be loved, and healing to heal. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light. You are the light. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. Brief erroneous love, sanctimonious scum. The doornails are dead. Surreptitiously I read fear upon the face of the coward in the corner, who will sell you for buttons and a heartbeat, who would live inside your ear in an instant. In truth, I had squandered the humility I had hoarded for some time, willfully scorning, consuming hard drugs and vile wine. Philomena, tell me a story, sing me to sleep. I've been in the wars, without warning I walked straight for the door. Joe soap me yet rise from the lukewarm bed. In the clothes of a stranger I wibbled and I wobbled and I wandered directly toward the holy cesspool. Oh, not a single sinner was in sight, as the working class magi narrates. You can take the light out of the council estate. When we were younger, it always seemed to be sunny. We'd steal cigarettes and buy clothes from a man in a van. Philomena, tell me a story, sing me to sleep. I've been in wars, sing me to sleep. Can I stay with you during the week? We can feed the wee birds. We could feed the wee birds. Mama, will you buy me a, buy me a, buy me a? Mama, will you buy me a, buy me a, buy me a? Mama, will you buy me a, buy me a, buy me a? Mama, will you buy me a, mama, will you? The slum queen rose on, mama, a cracking cried poor man, mama. Slum Queen gave one look. And the crack king cried, pour me a drink. That is doing backflips. We can feed the wee birds. Mama, will you buy me a? Buy me a, buy me a, buy me a. Mama, will you buy me a? Philomena, tell me a story. Sing me to sleep. I've been in the wars. Peter O'Toole's drinking stories. In the past, when I know less than I know now, which isn't much, I slept inside Peter O'Toole's drinking stories. I wept on the unmade bed of existential crises and came to believe that all you need to be a writer was a coat and one arm as long as the other, brother. Time can be a teacher when it suits. Resuscitate your childhood schemes in the archaeology of memory, my professional dream. Tiptoe towards immortality, laughing into the wind. Onwards now, onwards now. One boot is more than enough. Oh, let truth be known, the boy has snapped. We've never seen nothing like this before. Oh, the bells have tolled, he's never coming back. Crack, smack, stone. Once upon a time, my mother was a lady, an OCD fact-grilling machine. That was then and that was that. Once upon a time, my father was a coward, but I love him for who he is in the present. And that was that. I'm a 6-week premature ejaculation, baby. The incubator done me no harm, it had its charm, and that was that. That was that, and so it began. The sun came up and shook my hand, and young Ivan and holy knowledge supervised the finding of a fix on an unsuspecting stranger's bed. Oh, let truth be known, the boy has snapped. We've never seen nothing like this before. Oh, the bells have tolled, he's never coming back. Crack, smack, stone cool. Oh, the bells have tolled, he's never coming back. Never gonna know another like this before. Oh, the bells have tolled, he's never coming back. Crack, smack, one boot is more than enough. One boot is more than enough. One boot is more than enough. One boot is more than enough.
Do you feel though that you've been able to rely on yourself a little bit more? That's how you've branched off into the poetry, because not every bit of writing that you have to write now has to be a lyric for a song. It can be a poem by Dave Keenan.
Yeah, there's a place now for everything. Whereas like I'd have the notebooks built up, and it was always a kind of a bucket list thing. I just wanted to get the words in print without the music, and even reading them, it's a different kind of rush. You know, whether it's of any use or not, it doesn't make a difference to me. It's given me something else, and you know, getting the cottage industry going, licking the stamps and sending out the books, it's given me a bit of joy. You know, in lieu of not being able to gig.
Words from a red room. Self-acceptance. I am something new. This is something I'm trying to express. I'm wearing a new skin, have I told you? I've crossed 6 splintered bridges to sleep in that cottage with the yellow curtains. I can write here, it's peaceful, and I disregard shaving, which is freeing. Some mornings I light the fire and drink pots of tar-like tea until I'm bloated. It's soothing. I make it strong, it reminds me of my grandmother. I get lost in books about fallen soldiers. I get lost in songs about a religion I don't believe in. I get lost in half-thoughts and imagination. I sleep until I wake, and sometimes I see the groundskeeper, standing at the hearth with his cap at his breast, spitting into the embers and laughing that infectious, infected laugh that saved me innumerable times. But he is old and soon to die. I know this, as does he. We will both be sad for a while. I will speak of him at the funerals of strangers. I will think of him in absolute solitude, and he will advise me. The floorboards are my creased hands that belong to someone else. I navigate their trenches in my bare feet and talk to my reflection in the mortified window until we have an argument about the colour of my eyes. It's quiet here. I intend to stay. Preserve me in your letters. No junk mail, please. The forgotten debutante. Stood like a forgotten debutante, washed by the rains, open collar, open mouth. Busy rummaging through trenches for the last will and testament, the roadmap to the soul scribbled on a crumpled receipt. Red-eyed, callous-fingered, waiting for a busy fool to dance the slow dance with through a youthful room. Patience now! Patience. In my quest for knowledge, I watch night disown day, in search of clarity, yes, clarity. And beauty. The beauty in toiling. That gratifying graft, that purifying purge. Then the drinking. Drinking raw wine from a clay urn, liberated from a hollow home, starved of all them hidden things. Toasting life, toasting death, toasting rebirth. Then the long, proud, satisfied walk home. To dream the dreams that need no explanation. To sleep the sleep that knows no wake. Once upon a gust, there came a beautiful truth. A couple kissed. A man was discreetly sick into the whiplash of a passing train. When staring on, I saw a look I knew I'd never see again. Then from my left you manifested requesting direction. There's a real discipline in the art of self-construction. Make a nest of my head with your digits and crawl up inside my psyche with your holistic intuition. There once was a serial seeker who fell in love with a raving homeopath, and that was that, and so it began. The sun came up and shook his hand, and young Ivan in holy knowledge supervised the sanctioned fix on an unsuspecting stranger's bed, amidst golden spoons and heart palpitations, Christchurch bells and fits of knotted laughter, a fumbling turmoil. Call me blue, trust the gut, I am your free will, left out amongst the elements at the mercy of the gods. My stomach is in ribbons, the system is in ribbons, them incredulous ribbons, where is my blue ribbon? Safety is a pressure point between your legs, skin on skin in a rented room. As bodies move with insanity on the greedy boardwalk below, and you ascend into cubist bruises and a foreign language, I am left alone here, covered in your smell, holding the unopened box of rubbers which we chose to shun. Sinead. little boy sits on a doorstep, lifting his hands for to dampen the sound of a bitch who's informing the neighbours of intimate acts with some waif she had found. Where the chimneys of steam emanated from the gutter in a dive bar with a hungry old stew. It is here that the brilliant blasphemers are sitting, cursing us under the moon. Thou with every name under the sun, as the young ones are banging their drums. Is there any evidence of living left in this town? Would I find any evidence of living amongst you saddening crowds? Is there any evidence of living within them, within us? Will I find any evidence of living left in this town? This very town. A dishwasher had spoke of the New Testament, so I picked up a German edition. Though I could read nor decipher one single cold word, I was joined by this strange apparition. He'd a face like an old painter's radio, and disgrace was his family name. We played cards, I was happy just to be there, happily losing, happily lucid, waiting for morning, waiting to be saved. Is there any evidence of living left in this town? Would I find any evidence of living amongst you saddening, maddening crowd? Is there any evidence of living within them, within us? Would I find any evidence of living left in this town? We gathered our travelling circus. One and for all, we must hoist up the mast. We must move now to set an example for every kid whose dreams died in 5th class. In the name of that choice, in a cracked, anemic voice, the tall girl, she did silence the crowd. She awoke in the spirit. We had washed ourselves, and it shook me. I tripped and I moaned. Being wounded, she then brought me home. By her bedside, while combing her hair, she undressed and then she whispered in a prayer. Is there any evidence of living left in this town? Would I find any evidence of living amongst you saddening, maddening crowd? Is there any evidence of living within them, within us? Would I find any evidence of living left there in this town? Shall we make it to the meadow? Is heaven just another ghetto? The ankle ripped by a stiletto. We are the living in this town. It has been said, let it be known, we are the living in this very town.
process?
Well, we did Evidence of Living, and Gar again was a band member and a brother, and you know, I was feeling his voice. That was the first time me and Harry played it since Gar passed together, and you know, I think losing somebody, when you're faced with such a realism, it strips away a lot of it puts things into perspective, the old cliche, but it strips away a lot of the fucking bullshit. It just trims everything down, like, you know, like, you're faced with the ultimate, life, death, and everything in between. I felt like I wised up in a sense. I felt like I grew up in a sense, and this is all through losing a best friend. You know, I wish I had it came in other ways, but this is a gift that he's given me, and that's I can feel that coming out in the writing, even in my singing. You know, being brutally honest, which you always have to be about yourself. I was a support act for so long, for so many years. So I was trying to project and doing all these vocal roles, and you know, it's all marzipan. Whereas now today I just got in and I'm singing for myself.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to impress anymore. I know that might come across as you know, but I don't give a fuck. I'm just I mean it, and for the first time in my life I really, really mean it, and that's great for me to build a little bit of, you know, acceptance within myself.
I'm glad that you had mentioned it, because your performance just seemed raw. You know, it seemed very personal for you today, being, I don't know if it's back in the Spirit store, as you said, the first time before since your friend, but there was something else, a different David Keenan on stage today.
It's just, you know what, it's not like I said to you, there's less confetti in my head, but you know, you're a young person and you're growing up, and you're stepping into yourself, you're trying to find out who am I and where can I stretch myself, and this whole lockdown experience has been such a sobering experience, because I've also been faced with my own issues and the ups and downs of living inside my own head. And when you kind of come back on your shield a few times, and like I said, the one thing that I've been clinging on to has been the music and the words and the joy that gives me. I think for a long time I was doing it for everybody outside of me, and the last few months have brought it back into me, making music for me, and that's made it more. It's made the experience more worth. It's given it more worth. Do you know what I mean?
Two quick things. We heard a cool story before you came here about Derek many years ago introducing you, I think, to Damien Dempsey. Yeah. Was that your first string of like support gigs and stuff, or what do you remember about that occasion, or where were you at that point in your life?
I remember being over at the spot, drinking a couple of cans, and then getting a message from Derek, would you like to meet Damien Dempsey? And that was I was like, what? You know, a huge hero. I just rattled when I met him, but that was Derek. That's the things, you know, that's the generosity of Derek, you know. I remember coming here at 15, 16, lying to Derek about my age to get a support slot with Shearwood or whatever I could get with Jinx. And Derek was always giving me chance after chance, even when I let him down a couple of times, you know, as a silly kid. He kept giving me chances, and I'll never forget him for that. And the store, this kind of incubator for us to learn and grow and go through all the facets of growing up, musically and otherwise here.
Last thing, because I've always wanted to know this, how hard was it to move to Liverpool, and do you think that that's what got you here today? You made a very, I am not saying that you weren't in a good place, but you just made a very snap decision to say, fuck this, I am not doing this anymore, and you were gone the next week.
I think fear makes you brave, man. And at that age, as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, full of fear, full of not being understood, feeling, you know, I didn't belong, and the fear of that and the anxiety of that, just flick the switch and go, okay, I'm getting out of here. But it lit the fire under me, and you know, like, I remind myself of things like that when, you know, when you get low, you have to just remember that to a certain extent you are the light at the end of the tunnel, and you have to keep cultivating that within yourself, otherwise, you know. But listen, yeah, thanks. Good to see you.
I was told long ago that you learn more on a building site than you would in school. I don't know who's to know in El Paso. Friday nights, the floodlights, you'd hear us roar, sing them down till we die. Then our churchman saw we have grown on the road to El Paso. Photographs on your mantelpiece, they fade, sitting at some bus stop in the pouring rain. When your mind sings that you've seen. Got the shoes on the other foot, how does that feel? If you wanna go, I'll take you there. I'll feel the rain on your face in the morning air. Let's go back, take me back to El Paso. You go around with your tie and your briefcase, with a look on your face like I'm a waste of space. Take me back to El Paso. Oh, take a walk on the echo road. I'll be waiting. Don't you know I'll be waiting, still waiting. And if you wanna go, I'll take you there. I'll feel the rain on your face in the morning. Let's go back, take me back to El Paso. You go around with your tie and your briefcase, with a look on your face like I'm a waste of space. Take me back, take me back, take me back. Let's go back to El Paso, to El Paso, to El Paso, to my El Paso. One time.
Last thing, can we just get a shot and just ask you a couple of questions about the store?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Just to be able to stitch it together.
Yeah.
I might pause it for you.
A smile on one store.